Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dogs, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, May 20th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks in the comments section below. If you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at PickDogs.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dogs Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday, May 20th. First up, we're going to take a look at the afternoon contest between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs. Humberto Castellanos and Kyle Hendricks are your starters for this one. Now, I do think Humberto Castellanos is the weakest link in this Diamondbacks rotation. Pretty strong rotation overall. Castellanos a 4.15 ERA, but a 4.57 xFIP. Biggest reason for that, he doesn't really strike out a lot of batters, only 6.23 Ks per 9 this season, but that is an improvement from last year where he was below 6 in Ks per 9. But he's going up against a starting pitcher in Kyle Hendricks that has really made his career pitching well at Wrigley Field. This year already a 2.82 ERA at Wrigley Field. His last home start, he did get a little bit roughed up by a White Sox lineup, but I do think Chicago, I think their offense is a little bit better than Arizona's. Arizona right now ranked 23rd in the league in team OPS against right-handed pitching. I do think Kyle Hendricks pitches well at Wrigley Field like he has most of his career, and I do think the Cubs pull out a win in this one, so give me the Cubs on the money line. In our next game, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Adam Wainwright and Zach Thompson are the projected starters. Now, Zach Thompson did pitch pretty well in his last outing for the Pirates. He really struggled up until that start, but he went 6 innings, shutout ball, only 1 hit allowed against the Cincinnati Reds. And, he's really dominated against the Reds in his last 2 outings. He's faced them in 11 innings, no earned runs allowed. But he's not facing the Reds in this spot. He's facing a Cardinals lineup that's really been looking strong lately. Paul Goldschmidt, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. And the Cardinals were a team that at the beginning of the season couldn't really hit right-handed pitching, but now they're starting to figure things out against the Mets, against Chris Bassitt and the bullpen. They were able to do a lot of damage against plenty of right-handed pitchers in that one. I think they had 12 hits. They scored 5 runs in that one, or 6 runs, excuse me. And I think they're going to be able to get to Thompson here. I do trust Adam Wainwright more than Thompson in this spot. Wainwright in his age 40 season still has a below 3.5 ERA. Pitching well, last time 6 innings, 2 earned runs, a quality start for him. Previous to that one, 7 innings, a shutout ball against the Royals. I do like Wainwright in this spot. I think the Cardinals lineup is starting to heat up. Give me the Cardinals on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Miami Marlins. Charlie Morton and Trevor Rogers are your starters. Now, these are 2 guys that really had a lot of expectations going into this season. Charlie Morton, a veteran pitcher that the Braves have been able to rely on in for a few years in Atlanta. Trevor Rogers, an up-and-comer that started to turn some heads last season. But both of these guys have struggled quite a bit this year. Morton a 4.93 ERA, Rogers a 4.45 ERA. We've seen some flashes of both of these guys stepping it up lately. Charlie Morton only gave up 1 earned run in 6 innings with 9 Ks last time. Trevor Rogers was able to get through 5 1/3 against a pretty tough Brewers lineup. Only 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, and a 9-3 Marlins win. This is a really tough game for me. I do trust the Marlins lineup a little bit more than Atlanta's right now, which is kind of crazy to say. And May 20th in the season, somehow the Marlins lineup I think is better right now than Atlanta's, but they've just been good against righties this season, ranked 7th in baseball in team OPS against righties, and they play pretty well at Lone Depot Park. I'm going to take a shot with the fish here on the money line. You're getting a good price at plus money as the dog. Give me Miami on the money line. We see the Philadelphia Phillies hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers. Julio Urias and Ranger Suarez are your starters. Now, we saw these 2 teams play each other only a week ago, and it was a really entertaining series. A lot of high-scoring games, and the Phillies had a lot of success in that one. I do think this ball game is going to be entertaining as well, and I think we're going to see some offense yet again in this spot. Julio Urias, 3.0 ERA, doesn't look bad on paper, but a 4.93 FIP, 4.35 xFIP. His strikeout numbers are way down, the walk numbers are a little bit up, and the home run numbers are way up at 1.75 home runs per 9 allowed in 36 innings of work this season. He's facing a Phillies lineup that's 3rd in baseball in team OPS against lefties and 2nd in baseball in isolated power against lefties. So I do think the Phillies are going to have some success offensively. On the other side, Ranger Suarez, a guy I really don't like to back too often either. 3.72 ERA, but a 4.47 expected ERA, 4.5 FIP this year. Strikeout numbers are down. The walks are up, the home runs are way up as well. And the Dodgers are a lineup that started the season, not great against lefties. We were mentioning that they hit righties, and they're number one in baseball right now against righties, team OPS wise. But they're starting to pick it up against lefties as well. They're now in the top 15 in team OPS against lefties, and they're in the top 15 in isolated power against lefties. We saw a lot of high-scoring ball games in that previous series at Dodger Stadium, and we're going to take the over in this spot. I think we see another high-scoring game here. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Jalen Beeks and Tyler Wells on the mound. Now, Tyler Wells, I am a little bit concerned with his game. Lately, he has been getting hit a little bit hard. His last 10 innings, he's given up 13 base hits and a home run. Only 19 strikeouts in 28 innings of work this season, which is another reason to be concerned. And in those last two outings, like I mentioned, he got hit pretty hard. He only faced the Tigers and Royals. Now you're facing the Tampa Bay Rays, a lineup that can get it done, situational offense. And Jalen Beeks has pitched really well for the Rays. He's going to be an opener in this spot, so not going to pitch too deep into this game, maybe 1-2 innings. But I think he'll start the game strong, and I think the Rays bullpen takes care of the rest. So give me the Rays on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Luis Castillo and Hyun-Jin Ryu as your starters. Now, I do think this is a tough spot for the Reds here on the road. Cincinnati 6-17 away from home this season. And they're facing a lefty here, and they're dead last in baseball in team OPS against lefties this year with a 579 team OPS and 358 plate appearances. Hyun-Jin Ryu really struggled in his first couple outings, but last time out, he was decent against the Rays. He went 4 2/3, only 1 earned run. It was a home run. He had some issues with the long ball this year, but the Reds not really a powerful team against lefties either. They're actually ranked 28th in baseball in isolated power against lefties. I think it's a matter of time before this Blue Jays lineup really starts to get going. They're fine overall. They're 2 games above 500, 5 games above 500 at home. A lot of people are starting to hit the panic button because they haven't been as dominant as what the expectations were, but I think they get it done here. I'm going to lay the run line with Toronto in this spot. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Tarik Skubal and Aaron Civale on the mound for this contest. Now, the Tigers opened up as a small dog. Now, we see the money line price about even at a pick'em -110 each, and I do think the Tigers are the better spot here. Aaron Civale, 9.85 ERA. The biggest thing for him has been the long ball. He's given up 6 home runs in 24 2/3 innings, just getting really a lot of hard contact allowed. In his last 4 starts, he gave up 6 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 6 hits, 7 hits, 7 hits. So he's getting hit really hard, and Tarik Skubal is not. Tarik Skubal has been really good for the Tigers. 2.5 ERA, 2.08 FIP, and he's facing a Guardians lineup that we've mentioned all season. Hits righties really hard, can't hit the lefties that much. 25th in baseball in isolated power against left-handed pitching, and they're ranked 28th in baseball in team OPS against lefties. I think Skubal pitches a gem in this spot, and I think the Tigers, a really weak Tiger lineup, I think they can do a little bit of damage on Civale, enough to win this ball game. I know the Tigers have been miserable on the road, but I do think they grab a win here. So give me Detroit on the money line. In our next game, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Boston Red Sox. Now, we don't have an official lineup for this game quite yet, but right now I am seeing the projected starters of Robbie Ray and Michael Wacha. This is a really tough game for me, probably my least favorite on the entire card, just because, the Red Sox, they are facing Robbie Ray, who has struggled lately. He's given up a home run in each of his last 3 starts. He gave up 5 earned runs against the Mets last time out in 6 innings, and the Mets are really not a great lineup against lefties this season. But the Red Sox are ranked 29th in baseball in team OPS against lefties, 29th in baseball in isolated power against lefties, and they've found ways to lose games late in the beginning, and the bullpen has been really struggling. So I can't really back Boston in this spot. And on the other side, Michael Wacha, he's pitched well this year. I give him credit, 1.38 ERA, but he's not really pitching sustainably. The strikeouts aren't there for him. He's given up at least 2 walks in each of his last 5 starts. At times, we've seen the long ball be an issue for him, and he's coming off the 15-day IL. So it is kind of a concern. If he even gets to start in this game, he could be a scratch because we don't see a line out. So, this is a game I'm staying away from altogether, but I'm going to lean towards the Mariners as the Red Sox are just finding too many ways to lose games lately. In our next game, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the New York Yankees. Now, these two teams just played each other in Chicago not too long ago. We're going to see them at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx now, and both teams have hit lefties well this year. We see Keuchel and Cortez as the starters, and I do think we're going to see some runs here. I know Dallas Keuchel has pretty much dominated the Yankees in his career, but I don't see him dominating many teams going further. 5.54 ERA this season, the whip at 1.96. He's a pitch-to-contact guy, but he's had issues with the walks this year as well. 15 walks in 26 innings. You really don't see that with guys like Keuchel. Home runs have been an issue at times as well, and the Yankees, like I said, top 10 in baseball in team OPS against lefties, and they're number 3 in baseball in isolated power against lefties. While on the other side, the White Sox, really tough to pitch a lefty against them. I know Cortez pitched well against this White Sox lineup a week ago, but still number 9 in baseball in isolated power against lefties. Number 7 in baseball in team OPS against lefties. I think we see some offense here, and the total set pretty high at a hitter-friendly park. Give me the over in the White Sox-Yankees. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Devin Smeltzer and Daniel Lynch as the starters for this one. I really can't trust either of these starters in this matchup. I know Smeltzer 1.8 ERA and Lynch at 3.3 ERA doesn't really scream over, but this total is set pretty high for a Kansas City ball game. And Smeltzer, in his first start, he wasn't bad by any means. 5 innings, 1 earned run, not bad at all, but only 2 strikeouts, 2 walks allowed. So you never really want to see a 1-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio. While Daniel Lynch on the other side, sure, 3.3 ERA looks good, but 4.39 FIP and a 4.68 xFIP. He's given up some home runs. The walks have also been a problem. And, I think this game, we've seen the Royals offense start to wake up recently. The beginning of the season, the weakest offense in baseball, certainly. But the last game in the Chicago series, 4 runs scored. The previous game, 6 runs scored. They scored plenty in that Coors Field series against the Rockies. So I do think they can help chip in here with this total. Just really can't back a team in this spot, as I just don't really love either of these starters. So give me the over in the Twins-Royals. In our next game, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Houston Astros. Martin Perez and Christian Javier on the mound. Christian Javier is a guy that I do think is a really solid relieving option in the bullpen for the Astros, but I don't love him as a starter. And we saw just why in his last start when he went 3 2/3 innings, gave up 8 hits, 7 earned runs, a home run, 3 walks against a pretty weak Nationals lineup on the road. It was a 13-6 Astros loss. And we've seen Javier, the biggest reason why I don't really like him as a starter, he gets hit really hard when he does get hit. His fastball, the average exit velos off the bat are really, really high, too high for a starting pitcher to really have success in a long-term season. And I think the Rangers get to him here, and Martin Perez has been the best pitcher for this Rangers rotation. Who would have thunk it? 2.01 ERA, 6th in baseball right now, 6th in the American League, 1.02 whip right now. He's not allowing many base runners. In his last 5 starts, the Rangers have won 4 of those 5 outright, and he's pitching the last time out 6 innings, 1 run, 7 Ks against the Red Sox. Give me the Rangers on the run line here. I think they at least keep this game close, a 1-run ball game, but I do think they have a chance to win this one outright. In our next game, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Eric Fedde and Eric Lauer are your starters. For me, this game's simple. I gotta have to go with the Milwaukee Brewers on the run line. Nationals just haven't been good enough against lefties this season. They're ranked 24th in the league in team OPS against lefties. They're ranked dead last in baseball in isolated power against lefties. And that's really the stat that makes me like Milwaukee is Eric Lauer. He's got a 2.6 ERA. Where we've seen him struggle the most is the home run ball. He gave up 3 home runs last time. He's given up at least 1 in his last 3 starts and 4 of his last 5. But really, that's been the only damage he's had is the home run ball. And so if you're facing a weak lineup that's ranked dead last in power numbers against lefties, that's where you like to back Eric Lauer. His strikeout numbers are great. He's really not allowing many base runners. The walks really haven't been too much of an issue. So give me the Brewers. I think they get the Fedde as well, a pitcher that I'm not the most confident in. So give me the Brewers on the run line. In our next game, we see the New York Mets taking on the Colorado Rockies. Carlos Carrasco and German Marquez are your starters. Now, the Mets offense looked real strong in that series against St. Louis, especially in the last 2 games on Wednesday and Thursday. And I do think the Mets win this ball game as well. Carlos Carrasco, a guy I wasn't really optimistic about this season, but I got to give Cookie credit. He's pitching well for the Mets. They've really needed it, and especially with Scherzer going down, they're going to need it going forward. The Mets are top 10 in baseball in team OPS against righties this season. And German Marquez, although he's pitched well at Coors Field in recent seasons, he hasn't pitched well anywhere this year. 6.16 ERA, 1.53 WHIP. His last start wasn't bad. He gave up only 3 earned runs and 1 home run, but it was against the Royals. He's also played a start against the Diamondbacks, the Nationals. So the last 3 games, some pretty weak lineups. Now he's facing the top 10 offense. Give me the Mets on the money line here at a pretty good price. Next up, we see the Oakland A's taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Paul Blackburn and Chase Silseth on the mound here. Now, Chase Silseth was fantastic in his major league debut against these Athletics. 6 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts in that one. I think he pitches well again in this spot. And, Paul Blackburn, 4-0 with a 1.67 ERA. He's certainly been the A's best starter this year, but I'm not sure how he's going to be able to sustain that 1.67 ERA. When you look at his numbers, he's in the bottom 27th percentile in hard hit percentage, bottom 29th percentile in expected batting average. Doesn't really strike out a lot of guys, doesn't really miss a lot of bats. His velocity is pretty low, his fastball spin rate's not great. So I do think pretty soon he's going to get hit, and especially against the Angels lineup that's been really good this year against righties. 3rd in baseball in team OPS against righties, and number 2 in baseball in isolated power. I think this could be a spot where Blackburn is in trouble. Give me the Angels on the money line in this one. Next up, our final game of the night, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the San Francisco Giants. Pretty interesting NL West matchup here with Sean Manaea and Jakob Junis on the mound for this one. Now, I know it's probably pronounced Jacob Junis, but it's spelled to me Jakob Junis. So that's how I'm going to say it for the rest of the season, no matter what anybody says. And, Junis, the biggest problem for him in his career has been the home run ball. We've seen it already this year. In his last 2 starts, he's given up at least 1 home run. And I do think this is a spot, even though the Padres haven't been great against righties, I do trust Manaea a little bit more than Junis. And, I do think the Padres bullpen is also better than the Giants in this current moment. We're getting a really good price with the road team here. This would be a really good series, and I wouldn't be surprised to see all 3 of these games be really competitive. But I do think the Padres take game 1, and we're getting too good of a price to pass up with the better starter. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday, May 20th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dogs Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.